welcome to Take 10, and I'm talking about vantage points. And the title of this is If I Could Have Seen the Land. In other words, we could have got there if we could have saw where we were going. I watched a documentary a couple of weeks ago, and it was about a man who bought 250 acres on the backside of an Alaskan mountain. And to get there the first time, so he could maybe chart out a place for an airstrip or how to get in and out of there, he decided to hike it. And he took a film crew with him, and they hiked it. And I watched them as they went across. What an incredible journey. But his vantage point was not what the eye could see. His vantage point was not what he could look at through a compass. The compass helped to keep on course. But before he left, they studied the topographic maps of the area, so they might know where there would be trees or be a stream, or there might be rocks or elevations, or there might be no trees or tundra, or there could be frozen areas. And they tried to get an aerial map as close to possible of the time they were traveling as they could. So locked in their heads, so much so that along the way he would draw in the snow when I've come across this, now I've come across that, now I've come across the other, and sure enough, I've got to get to this other point, because if I don't get there before such and such a time, the weather's going to catch me, or the temperature's going to drop, or if I can't get across this body of water on frozen tundra, frozen ground, I will go in. If I go in, I've got to have a fuel to start a fire, because I could go into hypothermia. It was all about that. But what I got out of this was the fact that you have to have the vantage points in your mind by faith where you're going. Because if you don't have those vantage points, you won't be able to see the land you're headed to. Just to make a long story short on that, it was late one night, and he was the hours of sunlight was dropping because of 6 hours of daylight, and he didn't have much. But it was late one evening as he kept going, because he knew by the vantage point in his mind. His vantage point publicly, all he could see was the frozen and the flat land and the snow, and wondered where if he might step through a frozen area and land in a body of water. He finally saw some little bitty trees. He ran into it with his leg, and he got excited, because that's part of his vantage. Are you running over vantage points? Are there things that you could see the land in your head? Because you're not going to see the land while you're walking by faith headed in the season like the sons of Issachar. You have to know the times and the seasons. You have to have the vantage points in your brain that you know when you hit a vantage point. Well, I've crossed this river. Well, I've crossed that river. Or I've seen this before. I know where I am by what I'm coming up on. Most people, when they come up on something, it just shocks them, and they're blown out of the way. And all of a sudden, they have a meltdown because they've never seen this before. But if you have it in your head, I'm going to see this, and when I see that, it's a precursor to what I can see. Or maybe I need to turn another way. At one point, he was needing water. So he began to vary his walking point back and forth, looking for a place where there might be a bit of vegetation, saying there might be some running water. And after a little while, there he came. And I remember one statement he made as he was drinking heavily that cold water. He said, cold water on an empty stomach is not good, but I know I must tank up, because if my body is full of water, I will have warmth. I will have warmth to go with the calories I'm intaking, because I have to get across this land and get on the other sides of these mountains before nightfall, or the temperature will drop so far. You see, these are vantage points in his head. Do you have an inner voice of God guiding you, telling you, you've got to keep making this point? I'm not talking about being driven by the light bill or driven by the lack of this or that, but having that thing in you that says, this is where God is going in my life. That when you do bump into a little tree, you might know you're in the edge of the forest where you can find fuel to get warmth. And that day when he hit those little trees, you could see almost the excitement that was generated in him. And within just a few steps, he was into the trees. He had a roaring fire going, and I haven't had a chance to watch the rest of the documentary. But it said to me that he had vantage points in his head, and he could actually see the land where he was going without it being visible to him. In 1952, there was a lady. Her name was Florence Chadwick, and she waded into the water of Catalina Island on a foggy morning intending to swim to the coast of California. She wanted to set that record. She failed. But 2 months later, after her failed attempt, she went out into a boat, and they took her to the exact spot of where they pulled her out, cold, exhausted, unable to move forward. And when she sat there in that boat, warm, on a new day, her mind was clear, and she saw how close she was to the land. This is what she said: "If I could have seen the land." You see, she was swimming, so she couldn't see the land. One side, then the other. One side, and then the other. And that's where you are today. You're one side, and then the other. One side, and then the other. You got your head down. You're swimming. You're making progress. The water's cold. You're getting tired. You're getting weak. And you're saying to yourself, will this ever end? Will I ever get to my place? Be for sure that faith plays the point of painting the landscape of your future. Hebrews 11:6 picks up the paintbrush I'm talking about, and with a skilled hand it begins to create the landscape of the future. And the writer says, and it is impossible to please God without faith. Anybody who wants to come to him must believe that God exists and that he rewards those who sincerely seek them. Now, you preached on this, you thought about it, you've heard sermons, but let's go another route today. Let's just talk about your future, your times, your seasons, how you're going to get through the next 3 or 4 weeks, or how you're going to do this, or how you're going to do that. Let's just break it down. You have the paintbrush because you have faith. You would have never started on this journey of having a 501c3 or having a church or having a ministry. You would have never started without faith. You had faith in the process. But when we don't have patience with the process, then it becomes impossible to please God. So you have to stir up that faith. So go back to the beginning. Anyone who wants to come to him, where is he? Where is God? You know, you ask, where is Waldo? And paint it on the picture, but where's God in your life? Where God is in the place he told you he would be. The dream he gave you. The outside. I am exactly today serving God in the place that I desired for many years. Now, do I know what the future looks like? Yes. I have vantage points. Do I know what the independent and sincere moments of truth are along the way? No. But I'm walking by faith because anybody who wants to come to him where he's at, the fruition of your dream, must believe that God exists. Do you believe God exists? Of course you do. Now let's go to him. Let's go to that place, because the last part of it is very solid. And I'm going to leave you with it today. He rewards those who sincerely seek him. It's like the guy there walking across the tundra of Alaska, going to this land that he has of 250 acres he's never seen but on paper. He doesn't know whether he's going to have an airplane to fly in there. He doesn't know if there's going to be a way to build a road. But he knows there's 250 acres he can create a new life on, and he's on his way. So you dreamed up, you've got this, you've got that, and if you don't have goals, let me tell you, you're out of luck with God. Because it's impossible to please God without faith. So if you've done everything that you know how to do, and it's all working fine, and boy, it's just perfect, then you don't have anything to believe God for anymore, and you're not pleasing God anymore. It's always going to be a step of faith, and he's always going to require something that you control the closest to release it and to walk with him by faith. So now that you do step out and have faith, and you have vantage points, then now anyone who wants to come to him, if you want to get where he's at in your dream, get to that place where God has fulfilled it, then you have to believe he exists and that he rewards those who sincerely seek him. Keep moving. Don't give up right now. You're in that season of hurt, but go. You may be in a season of euphoria. Then get a new faith, because God will never give you a vision that is fulfilled so easily. It'll always be level upon level upon level upon level. Well, if I could just get to here, I'd be doing everything I wanted to do for God. Oh, no, my friend. When you get there, you'll find out that it was only a resting place to where you go forward. Because without faith, it is impossible to please God. So he keeps you in the mix of faith. God bless you. We'll see you next time on Take 10.